Hi, welcome to Andrew Buckle book review of The Incredible Hulk. Now this is the Omnibus Edition, Volume 1, and you can see the back cover. It's got all of the issues, obviously the 6 initial Hulk stories before they decided to stop it, which perhaps was one of the weirdest of mistakes. But however, what happened, you ended up with, of course, the Hulk appearing in Tales to Astonish. Now this includes all in 792 pages. All of the Tales to Astonish. Now, there's nothing of the sort of Hulk versus Fantastic Four various stories that you can find in, I'm just going to bring this over here, this collection. This is the Epic collection. This is a great one. This is one I will not be getting rid of because it does include those sort of like early stories, the Avengers stories. It also includes, of course, Avengers issue 2, as well as, of course, other Hulk stories, the brilliant classic Hulk versus the Thing. That's not included anywhere in this collection. However, one collection that I probably will be getting rid of because it sort of overlaps, and that's this Epic collection. There's a few minor things that I think are slightly different, but not very much. Certainly nothing to particularly justify a few extras, etc. You're never going to get a perfect match. But most of this one is, well, all the stories are in this big, huge Omnibus edition. And of course, you can see the Omnibus edition is slightly bigger than the Epics. I love the Epics. There's nothing wrong with the Epics at all. Absolutely fine with the Epics. However, I always think of, and I'm certain people who get the Marvel Masterworks will probably disagree and probably think that theirs is the superior edition. I don't think there's going to ever be agreement on that sort of thing. Unless they bring out an ultimate, massive, original artwork version, I don't think there'll be any definitive one ever of that. So let's just quickly remove that. And you can just there, remove that one. What does it include? Well, you can see there's the list. So you've got The Incredible Hulk 1 to 6. Brilliant stories. I really love those early stories. They were unusual, quirky, obviously lots of sort of communist ones. They always turned out to be sort of communists or whatever, though you did have the Toadmen. Sort of a very early sort of Skrull / sort of Kree. I don't know whether it happened. I think the Toadmen did probably appear in I think they brought them back in the black and white ones. I don't think they've appeared that much afterwards. But there were some great stories here. And of course, this was shared with the... obviously, early on, of course, Giant Man. I love those Giant Man ones. I always think sometimes, I wish I'd continued with the Giant Man stories. I know Submariner was very popular as well. However, Giant Man, Wasp, great stories. But there were some good stories here. None of those are included in this. This is purely the Hulk. So you've got here the Hulk there, and you can just see. Now, and I haven't got the earlier edition of this. I'm certain that there were earlier ones. But I imagine it was probably thicker than this because they seem to be getting thinner and thinner. At some point, it would be so thin, it'd be like you'd be getting it and it'd be 700, 800 pages and it'd be like down to virtually nothing. However, I love the dramatic Hulk there on the back. Very nice. But also, straight away, you can actually see one of the issues with it. You can see quite nice spotted there. I don't know if that's a feature of the book, but still, doesn't worry. But it's still, you see white all the way around there as well. Most strange. But what have you got? Of course, you've got the very dramatic there. The Hulk there bashing away as he obviously locked away in his cellar that was weirdly, I'm not certain how he developed it, had loads of atomic gamma radiation equipment, which of course he sneaked out of the thing. Obviously security was not particularly hot, but the Hulk could, but you've got a complete list of all the various pencilers, layouts, etc. Inkers. I think it's really quite a nice detailed, as well as uncredited colourists. Quite sad. To me, the colour was the key thing. And of course, saying that, of course, this has been recoloured anyway. So the original colourists have sort of like been forgotten about. Do I like the original colours to the new ones? I'm not fussed either way. Personally, I have no problem with it. But I know some people don't like the garishness colours, and there you've got the Toadmen there going there. And of course, if you've got the originals, you can obviously compare whether there's always going to be like slight changes in the colours, like the green of the shirt or something, those sort of things. And you've got the Hulk there, Bruce Banner, wanted for treason. I love the way they did it as well back then with the part 3. And also, of course, got that little job code. I was fascinated by job codes. I'm surprised no one's bought it, and maybe they have. a book of all the job codes for these early sort of Hulks, Tales of Suspense, etc., just to see all when these issues would actually come out. Well, obviously they came out, but in terms of when they were done and the production, obviously, and how they were actually, I'm not certain how they actually worked, the codes. Sometimes you had a code that was like a T code or what's the name, or a H code or something. I don't think there was any particular logic to it. I'm certain at the time there must have been, but anyway. Also, weirdly, you got this. You got the origin quite often. A startling change comes over the mild, scholarly scientist. Mild. Was he a mild, scholarly scientist? However, you got the Hulk there. Obviously, he's starting. He wasn't exactly. I hear we're flying. Of course, that was a great story. And of course, you had the story of the good old Ringmaster there, an early character, one that's turned up. I think virtually everyone has faced the Ringmaster. He's had a very unsuccessful career. I don't know why he just doesn't turn his actually running a circus would probably make much more money running a circus, but no, he has to go to crime. And of course, there was the original Captain America had the crime, obviously the Ringmaster back in the day. So you got the Monster and the Machine, and that was a great song. Mongo, Gladiator from space. Yes, Nate. Again, obviously some communist threats, etc. Anything. I can accomplish anything with my brain, etc., etc. And he can obviously lift a sort of possibly not the world's greatest thing, lifting a massive device like that, because of course he does rely on that device and he drops it and damages it. Probably movement like that would probably damage a very sensitive piece of equipment. Let's just fly up in the air, because that's what you do. And there he is, of course. Good old, do these commies think? But it's a great little story. And I always like this character as well. You can really see the Ditko. I mean, Ditko is just brilliant. I'm just not going to spoil that story you got here, but it's classic Ditko. The Metal Master, it was such a pity that there was never an issue 7. Even your limitless strength cannot save you from me. All the metals, etc., etc. And of course, you've got the letters pages as well. I love letters pages. Letters pages are always good. A new different superhero, Iron Man in Tales of Suspense. It just puts down there. The Gamma Ray machine is growing more, etc. Of course, we never, for a period of time. Of course, you did have, I suppose, to be fair, one of the crossover stories, and that's Enter the Hulk, Giant Man, and the Wonderful Wasp. Obviously, preparing for when they bring back the Hulk there, and you've got Steve Ditko again. Absolutely. I love these stories. They were just absolutely classic. The leader, of course, introduction. And this character, I love this one. Captured at last, and you've got this guy in here. You'll finally met your master. Yeah, you're in this massive suit that you can't get out of. How are you going to feed yourself? I mean, really, you just wander around. I suppose after a while, it's a bit of a struggle. It was obviously you hadn't thought that thing through very well. However, you got the leader, of course, good old leader. Now again, another character I always thought, why didn't he just use his great brain to help mankind? He would have made a lot more money. He would have probably done pretty well for himself. No, I'm going to be evil. But again, you wouldn't have any of these stories, would you, if you had all the sensible characters sort of with that sort of great brain? They always want to rule the universe or something pointless. Where strides the behemoth? And again, another classic. There was a lot of Ditko early on. And of course, you've got the classic. And I love Giant Man there, who was always changing it, nearly as bad as the Wasp. Wasp was always changing as well. I'm not certain what that guy is, the Hidden Man and his Ray of Doom. Not certain what he was actually aiming at there with his green ray there. Making a bit of a mess of that building, though. I must admit, I hope that building was empty, because it's not very good. Peril from the past. And poor old Giant Man, he was never really certain what size he was at some point. Back from the dead. And of course, he got the leader again. He had a lot of problems in that period. He had bullets in him and everything else. A whole load of different things. I've always thought, well, the Hulk would never die. Bruce Banner would never die either. It was literally impossible. He was always going to be recharging. So it was always a sort of a dying instantaneously with something. But always classic story there with the Watcher. Some brilliant art. And of course, even better art. I love this one. Bill Everett, one of my favourites, and I always feel that Bill Everett really should have an omnibus edition, 2 or 3 omnibus editions, be absolutely superb of some of his certainly earlier works, 1950s works. There's all that Venus material that really needs to be put into an omnibus edition. And you've got here Sandman playing up to Madame Medusa, etc. Again, I love the letter pages, just classic. And also, of course, you always had the checklist as well. Though some of these, that guy looking really bad. Zaxxon the First. Really? Is he going to be able to compete with Doctor Doom the First? I don't know. But Boomerang, he was a great character as well. And of course you've got the Secret Empire, sort of mini, you've got the Secret Empire there. I love that. Sort of early Hydra. But it's great stories, brilliant artwork all the way. And though some of the artwork, some of it is not brilliant, I have to say the restoration is generally superb all the way through. But there are some rough bits. Look at that. They are the Gil Kane there, or Jill Kane. I'm never really certain how to say his name. But you've got here, obviously, that one looks slightly rough. I don't know what material they were using, but it really, just not very sharp. Not very sharp, that bit. And then you've got other bits that are great, absolutely first rate. It's just brilliant. And then, of course, you got into issue 100 there, of course, Submarine, Let There Be Battle. Classics are in, of course, the Tales of Asgard, but the Asgard stories as well. However, that's it. So this is all the way up to, includes the 101, and it's also includes the Hulk 102, the singular issue, one issue that obviously goes over the that thing. So you've got Hulk 102 there. However, not vast amount of bonus material, not brilliant. You've got, of course, the Not Brand Ek, and you've got another bit of Not Brand Ek. You've got some nice essays. Decent essays, and I do think that some essays are always quite good to. It's nice at the end, just it's obviously talking about again the about communists there, 1961, all that sort of Peter David, and also you've got a few ads there, and of course you've got some lovely inked pages there, always welcome addition, and something they seem to be including more and more of, which is nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with including these ones. These are reprint issues. It's still at the same time I wish they'd probably put other bonus material as well, but still you've got here Marvel Superheroes, probably, yeah, you've also got the Marvel Tales as well. They were classics. I love those ones. Marvel Collector's Items classics as well. I always enjoy getting those, and those small little thumbnail covers, they were just brilliant. I wish they'd bring them out again actually. These sort of 4 issues, the old original ones like that would be, I'd probably buy them. No, probably not. Maybe not now, because of course you got these, and this is the thing, isn't it? But you got these other ones. Sometimes the covers were actually probably better than the original covers. Sometimes not. But you got some that are very similar to the original covers, and you got obviously a brilliant Jim Starlin one there. Look at that one. That's great. You can tell straight away when you look at that. Jim Starlin, absolutely. And then you've got some other Bruce Timm ones there as well to round it off. Well, it's a great collection, absolutely brilliant. They've changed it, and probably a few people, I'm certain, have criticised this feature. It's very, but at least it actually includes Lee, Kirby, Ditko and Severin. Should also include Bill Everett as far as I'm concerned there. But volume 1 there, and you've got the little picture there. But you've got, again, repeated, of course, on here as well. So this is just a superb collection. Absolutely lovely. Hulk Omnibus Volume 1, absolutely brilliant. As I say, replaces, at least for me, this one of the Epic collection. I will be keeping this one though, because of course it doesn't include all of the additional material. So yeah, totally recommended. Brilliant collection, really worth checking out. Hulk Omnibus Volume 1 from Marvel, and this came out last year, so should be still relatively easy to find.